Now, Parliament is urging the Ministry of Finance to release an outstanding amount of 329 million cedis to the Electoral Commission to enable it to adequately organize the upcoming elections. A report of Parliament's Special Budgets Committee on the roadmap to the elections observed the amount as part of a 1 billion cedi budget approved by Parliament for the Commission on the 2020 in the 2020 budget. Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu tells JoyNews both sides of the House agree that the EC is on course to organize a good election.
The position was that what amount they were looking for to procure the biometrics, if the 329 was not released to them, it wasn't going to be possible for them to be able to procure the verification materials, the biometric registration and verification equipment that will be worth its salt. So that was the position.
And once that was done, then everyone is satisfied with the preparedness going into 2020.
The preparedness, we generally agreed as of that time.
Okay.
But the issue was, after everything, he said, look, let me still, even though we agree that your state of preparedness is high, and we urge you to do this, to do A, B, and C, the position of the minority at the time in respect of the mass registration, he said he wanted it on record, that the position of the NDC was that they were against it. And so we needed to factor that in the report, which is what we did.
There have been calls for the EC boss to come brief members general. In fact, your colleague Muntaka spoke to us recently and said that all EC bosses have been before Parliament, and not specifically just special budget committees.
Why do they come?
As far as
is it ritualistic that they should come? Is it just ritualistic that they should come? They come to report on germane issues to us. In this case, the minority leader was the one who made the request. I leveled it to the Special Budget Committee. When we came to plenary, he made a point again that they should come to the plenary. It was a week after that Muntaka, speaking to the same issue, said that we should invite them to the plenary. But already the request had gone to the EC that they should come before the Special Budget Committee. It's not as if anybody would want to protect the EC from coming to plenary. But even the meeting with the Special Budget Committee, it was a bit delayed because members insisted that they wanted the chairperson to be there. So even when the chairperson was otherwise engaged, we insisted that we want her to be there. So the meeting, we called the meeting, and I think it took about a month before she was free to join the other colleagues in the commission to be with us at the Special Budget Committee. And if the explanations that she offered, and indeed the commission offered, was satisfactory.
Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu there. Let's get to Parliament. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is joining me so we can break this down a bit further. Joseph, tell us a bit more about this report of the Special Budget Committee on the EC, which the House approved today. Joseph?
Gifty, can you hear me?
I do hear you. Did you hear the question, or do you need me to repeat it?
I would kindly have to go over that again.
Right. So I want you to tell us a bit more about this particular report. My understanding is that it is a report. The Special Budget Committee has approved it today. Help us understand it if we didn't get it right.
So what happened is that the chairperson of the Electoral Commission appeared before Parliament sometime in June. It wasn't Parliament as a whole. It was actually an appearance before the Special Budget Committee of Parliament. And you know that's the committee that actually approves the budgets of the Electoral Commission before then it comes to the plenary. So that particular report that was put together by the Special Budget Committee is what the House debated today and went ahead to give the necessary approval for. It looked at, among others, the preparations that the EC had been making towards not just the upcoming elections, but even the voter registration exercise, which we saw a few weeks ago, And then there was the general roadmap that the EC had laid out on the processes leading to the elections. Now, it makes the point, among others, and I just want to quote the final conclusion as contained in the report. It says, the committee, in this case, the Special Budget Committee, is generally satisfied with the level of preparedness of the Electoral Commission for the conduct of the voter registration exercise and the 2020 presidential and general elections. Then it goes on to say the committee, however, noted that the commission is operating with a very tight schedule and urged the commission to strictly adhere to the roadmap as it had outlined and to ensure a successful registration exercise. Then the report goes on to say the committee therefore strongly urges the finance minister to ensure the release of the outstanding 329 million Ghana cedis carried from 2019 to enable the commission to provide all the relevant equipment and devices for the successful conduct of the election. And so this is the report that came to the House. There was the outline on how the committee was planning to procure various equipment in order to allow for both a successful registration and also to allow for a successful conduct of the upcoming elections. And as the House debated and approved this report today, there was a clarion call from MPs on the Electoral Commission to do all it can to ensure that the upcoming election is actually as free and fair as possible, so that then the results are accepted by all. We sought to get that clarification from members of parliament on whether, since the committee appeared before them, which was in June, there's been any change with regards to the release of this 329 million Ghana cedis. And the committee members and MPs indicate that from their checks, that said amount has still not been released between the time the committee members appeared before the committee and now, and which is why they are repeating that clarion call on the finance ministry to release that said amount to the Electoral Commission.
Great. Joseph, thank you very much for that breakdown. It makes a lot of sense now, but what else happened in Parliament briefly, if you can give that to us?
This morning, when the House began sitting, there were only about 16 MPs on the floor out of the 275. And James Klucha-Veggie raised the issue of them not having a quorum because you need at least 1/3 of all MPs on the floor before business begins. But he was eventually overruled by the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, after the majority leader said that there had been an earlier conversation that these are difficult times for MPs who are seeking re-election. So then, issues of quorum can be ignored and business can be continued. So business actually went ahead and they approved loan projects in order to provide water, including the Sunyane water project and all. And there is a legislation that the House is looking at to move the Ghana Cocoa Board from the Ministry of Finance, which is currently its supervisory ministry, to the Ministry of Agri that the House debated, and the House is expected to approve a little later in the month.
Joseph, thank you so much for those updates. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our parliamentary affairs correspondent with those updates on what happened there today.